It's really a wonderful thing to be able to see all of you. And before I introduce, I want to thank all of you for the support. Giving us calls, Irene, Mary, Danielle are eager to answer any questions you might have. And I got to tell you, it really means a lot to us that we have this connectivity and this method of being able to see our artists. We had the pleasure today of having Aya Oki, who was one of our artists in residency for DMG School Project. And it was absolutely wonderful because most of the time when we bring in the artists, we get to know them over a weekend if I haven't had a previous relationship with them. But with Aya, she was there for over 6 weeks. Even saw her the following weekend at Pilchuck. But it's really wonderful to get to know these artists, and what an opportunity to see how they make their work and being in their studios. I would like to thank all of you for being here, but I particularly want to thank as well Irene, Danielle, and Mary for hosting this, and Aya Oki. So Mary, maybe you could start?
Sure. Thanks, Duncan, and thanks everyone for joining us. We're so happy to have Aya here. As Duncan said, she was a resident artist with us. I think it was last year or maybe 2 years ago. Time goes by so quickly. And she's rapidly gained acknowledgement in the glass art world for her innovative techniques, her wonderful personality, her expression of joie de vivre that comes across in her work. So I know that Aya wants to start by sharing a little bit about where she came from, how she came to live and work in the US, and how she came to create the kind of work that she's been known for, but also she's exploring and creating new work too. So we're going to start. I think Aya has a presentation about her life and her beginnings in the US and her beginnings just in love with art. So Danielle's going to cue up something for us. And Aya, feel free to talk to us about what we're seeing.
Okay, thank you. First of all, thank you so much for having me. This is a great opportunity to share my work. My name is Aya Oki. I am from Japan. This is Tokyo, and this one is Osaka. If you know Osaka, my hometown, Nara, is right next to Osaka. And this is Nara, Japan, where I grew up, where I was born and grew up. And this is a high school I went. It has art major. So I really like making something by my hand, but also I like the painting. So I chose this school, and my major was Nihonga. It's a Japanese type painting, and all the ingredients for painting is all the materials is from mineral. And I had to make a hamburger patty to make a paint. So that really reminds me of making mud balls that I used to make when I was a kid. And I really like the painting, but also I wanted to make something by my hand. So when I went to, when I had to think about the college, I wanted to I wanted to choose something that I can experience with all the materials. And I met this professor, Peter Ivy. He is now in Japan, Toyama in Japan. having his own studios. Yeah, he's the one made me want to choose glass as my material. And this is from my undergrad. I was more focusing on making functional work. And this is also from undergrad. I was focusing on the glass expanding. So I have a little ball in the cup and have another bubble pushing against the ball. And this is my thesis work from undergrad. And I was focusing on more traditional techniques. And also we had lots of visiting artists from the States. Because Peter is from the States, we had the opportunity to meet other artists from the States. And Peter took me to this summer workshop. He had opportunity to teach there. So he took me there as his TA, and it really changed my life. After I came back from Pilchak, I started focusing on my the thesis work for grad school because I wanted to work and study under Peter more. So I decided to stay AUE and work with Peter. So when I was in undergrad, I was more focusing on techniques, traditional techniques, and learn about the glass. But the more I learned about the glass and materiality of glass, that makes me wanna make more abstract work. And after I graduated my grad school, I had this opportunity to work at the glass studio that we made productions and but also teach how to grow glass for the public people. And during that time, I was also making my new work. And this is the same picture that I showed you earlier, but the last picture was I expanded that work to this piece. This is how my work usually expands and develops. And I really wanted to study abroad, so I came here, California State University, San Bernardino in 2009 to study English first. And at the same time, I met this incredible artist, Catherine Gray. She's my favorite artist. And yeah, I was studying English, but also I was able to watch her glass class. And during that time, I was also having my solo show in Japan. So I was like back and forth between Japan and the States. But it was a really great opportunity to show my work in the society and make more career as an artist. So I feel like this piece was more refined and I was really happy with those works. And actually, I'm having a show, that group show is 4 times now, and that is actually going on right now in Japan. And also, this is another work that I was creating and more focusing on the bubbles contained inside of the bottle. And I really like the bubbles pushing each other inside. And these bubbles are also sucked inside of the bubble instead of blowing out. And I was able to enter to the California State University, San Bernardino. And after a year, after I studied English, I had to go back to Japan for a year, and then I was able to came back to California, and this is my studio. I was more trying to find the best way to show my work. And I was also interested in going to Rochester Institute of Technology to work with Michael Rogers and Robin Cass. And I made lots of work and research lots of about the glass during my time over there. See my thesis show, I came to the idea that my focus is that more lifelike quality of glass and puffy, squishy, stretchy properties of glass. And I love this piece. This is more, I love watching glass expanding inside of the wire cage. So this one, I blow the bubble inside the wire cage, and then the glass expands. And then I put them together, so looking at those bubbles pushing each other, and that was my focus. And another work, this one is bubbles are pushed against the one sheet of glass, and the sheet is sandblasted. So once you blow the bubbles against the sheet glass that's sandblasted, the part that the bubbles touch to the part gets kind of moist look, and that's really makes me feel the glass has lifelike qualities. And after graduating, I came back to California and started working with Kathy as her TA, but also I work for her. I work with her for her personal work too. And I am going to talk about my residency experience, because my work develops every time I go to residencies. Residencies are really great because it's such a long term that I can focus on my work. I can make my test piece and then develop my work, or I already have a work idea and then develop my work from that. And this was in New Jersey, Wheaton Arts. I made a bunch of parts and then brought the piece back to home, and then I was still working on to mount all the pieces. And then this one was at the Southern Illinois University, Carbondale. This was a 1 semester long residency, so it was almost a 4-month residency. It was really great amount of time. And I started making this bubble piece which I am currently still developing. Yeah, this time I was only using just the color glass. And then this work was also developed from the last residency that I had in New Jersey. And I visited Sinaka Studios in Texas. I was making more new work. And I really like being a student, taking workshops, and because every time I take a class, I learn something new, and that bring different ideas to me. And this is I visited Starworks. It was 1 week long. I visited them and had a time able to make this work with patterns this time. And then in 2018, I was able to have residency at the DMG. So I was developing more my current work there. And then after the residency, I went back to California, and in the studio, I had a more idea at the DMG, so I wanted to try that out at home. So this is pictures from my studio. Not my studio, but it's a Cal State San Bernardino. The studio is a little small, but it's enough to create students work, and then also work with everybody. And this is the last year, in 2019, I had this residency in Boda, Sweden, made more work with more colors, and this is at the Tacoma Museum of Glass last year. My piece is getting a little bigger scale, and I learned a lot as the scale gets bigger. The process is also changed. So I learned a lot. And this is at the Corning Museum of Glass. I had a residency there last November. And this is more like a performance, but I had my first performance in my life at the Chrysler Museum Glass Studio. And I really wanted to show the audience that like how exciting glass is. And so I create this clear big bubble that has 5 holes, and I have 5 assistants to blow color glass inside at the same time. So it's a pretty exciting moment if you see the 5 color bubbles blown up and push each other inside of the big bubble. So I have a little video of it. This is at the Puchak Glass School when I taught there. And I also did at the Tacoma Museum of Glass. This is something that I can do with all this help from people, and I really love team working. So I can only try this work when I have this much of help and people.
Is that a technique that you developed yourself, Aya?
My idea was that how I can see the bubbles expand at the same time inside of the container, contain the bubbles by containing inside of make some restrictions and then blow the bubbles at the same time. I wanted to see how it's gonna look like, so I came up with this idea.
I love it.
Thank you. And these pictures are from my teaching experience. Last year, I went to Minnesota to teach for spring semester, and that was from January to May. The picture from the left, and they're my students, and also teaching at Puchak and Penland School of Craft. And I really enjoy teaching and learn learning about glass with students. And yeah, I have more um, opportunity to teach, and which I love. And this is a brainstorming map from my students. So I always ask my students, what's glass and what's glass for you? What is your impressions of glass? And then have them to come up with their ideas.
And then do you try to help them explore all of those little pieces of their ideas? I mean, that
Yes,
could lead you to many, many different places.
yes, there's so many ideas, but we can, as long as, so they're gonna choose one word, for example, and then we try that, how we can use the glass to show that
to,
aspect.
to express that one word, whatever that is that they're trying to realize. It's a brilliant
Yeah,
teaching technique, actually. Brings it from, the technical aspect down to a very personal place for each student. Um,
mm-hmm.
so I have a question. All your work seems to be about the expanding of glass and the bubble.
Mm-hmm.
And I know later on we talk about inhaling and exhaling. Does that have a personal significance to you?
Uh, I actually have um, thought about why I'm interested in that, and because I really like looking at the glass expanding, and then how soft it looks, and I want to touch it and want to make more tactile piece. And I was really, one day I was really thinking about that, and then why I'm interested in that. And I I wanted to ask my parents if they know something, because all the ideas comes from like how I grew up, and it's from my environment that I grew up. So I asked my parents, uh, do you know why I like really squishy stuff, or droopy stuff and something like that? And they didn't really have a clear answer, but I think that I just really love um, the property of glass, that's puffy, squishy, and smushy, and it also looks like it's like living, and has um, lifelike qualities that I say lifelike qualities. That's what I want to show to my audience, because that's my passion coming from, and um, I really want to share that with my audience.
Well, it really comes across, and we're delighted. And I know that you have now, we have a presentation also. Oh, we have one comment. Christine says that you really make something terribly hard look so easy. And we think that you're making birthday balloons, and what a joy it is. And certainly that joy in while you're exploring the medium, and obviously being very technically expert, that joy is also coming through. So Christine's thanking you, and we thank you as well.
Thank you. I really like what you said, because joy is a really important point when I make my work, and joy and happiness, because that makes me more encouraged, and want to make more peace using glass.
Well, I know that we're going to show people some of the more technical aspects again of how you realize that vision. So again, please share what we're looking at here.
So yeah, I'm going to talk about the process of my work, and these are a little early work, how I started making this series with all the patterns, and you can see this crisscross pattern. So first I make this crisscross pattern and then make bubbles around it. So this pattern really makes me gives me the materiality of glass. If I don't see this pattern, I might not be able to see this materiality of glass. And I want to talk about my the process, looking at my experience at DMG. And this is my 1 month schedule at DMG. I had to,
by the way, sorry, we were just so impressed with this.
yeah, so I had to prepare a lot of piece before I actually create the sculpture. So yeah, they are all pieces I made at the DMG with bubbles, a few bubbles, but all has crisscross pattern. And so crisscross pattern is made by this cane. We call cane, this looks like a little stick. This is how I make cane. First I make long cane. I pour this till the end of the hallway. And then I cut them like about 5 inches and then make 2 sets of cane, and then I twist one way, like twist to the left for 1 cup, and then twist to the right for the other cup. This is how I roll up a cane and how I twist the cane. And then when I put those 2 cups together, I can make this.
That's not the final color.
Pattern.
You don't know.
And then this is gonna be my base shape, base pattern. This is after I make a cup. I'm going to pick this up to make my sculpture after. So I made a pattern, several kinds of patterns. This is a video with Stephen Hagan. He was the other resident artist. This is Steve. And then I had 2 art assistants too. And this piece is actually the same piece. This one is the same piece. And I had some colors, different colors together. So you can see a little colors, lines, different colors in the bubbles. And this one is another piece. I wanted to have more tight pattern and more lines. So I already put the 5 white lines when I make a cane. So it already have 5 lines, and then when I twisted them, I have more lines and it's tight. So it looks like more lines. And then for this piece, I use the black transparent color over it. So I cup this pattern into the black cup so that you can see this is the result. You can see the black, dense black inside more in the middle, and then as it expands, you can see little lighter color. And I have more lines, tight lines, And also some of my work were sandblasted. And sandblasting is that you can make a glass looks frosted, a little more white looking, so that the glass can hold the lights more. And they are all those are sandblasted piece. And, it's a little more foggy looking. And I was able to photo shoot and have a show at the DMZ. And then my friend came to my show, and it was great to have all the relationship between myself galleries and my audience. And, yeah, and this is my work on the light.
It was a great exhibit, and it was wonderful to have you. We have I want to go back, Aya, to this part of your creating sculpture. You started to explain a little bit about what it was like for you to create a piece here. And can you expound on that just a little bit more?
Sorry, Mary, can you say it again?
Yes. Can you talk a little bit more about what it takes to create a sculpture? You used this, this calendar.
Uh-huh.
And
so you mean the explain about the process in this?
Yes, please.
Okay. So you see the pink circle, that is the day I make all the canes. So I just pull canes all day long. Pull canes, and then cut canes. And then in the blue circle, I make blanks. So that means I make crisscross pattern. That's the day I make only crisscross pattern. And then that is actually gonna be picked up another day. So I make just the patterns. And then finally in the yellow circle, I can use that pattern to make a sculpture. So it really takes time to make one piece. I need a lot of preparation for it. And white, in the white square, that's the day I did cold working. Cold working is that there's always excess of glass part that I need to engrave or polish in the end of, before I show my piece. So I need to, that's the day I polish my piece.
So Susan is asking, so do you produce a different piece each week, or do you have a variety of pieces ready by the end of the month?
Every day I don't make sculptures like finished piece every day because of all the preparation I need make to the parts to be able to make my sculpture. So you can see all the yellow circles. That's the day I made my sculpture, actual finished piece.
Thank you. So we have a couple people asking about your inspiration. Joni asks if you were inspired by Totoro cartoon. And Judy asks, were you inspired by the Jeff Koons animals?
Yes, actually, Totoro is my favorite Japanese anime. Studio Ghibli is my favorite. I grew up with Studio Ghibli, and I think, yeah, Totoro is, since Totoro is like a giant animal, if you don't know, it's actually the ghost, but really cute looking, and it's really squishy. You can it's covered by hair, but I can tell it's really squishy. And once he breathes in, like he has a big belly, and it's really soft looking. And I'm sure I get the inspiration. Like somehow, maybe it's a different way. Like there's a transition of getting my ideas because I grew up with that. Yeah, so somehow in different way, I think that inspires me too. That's a part of my idea to come up with. And Jeff Koons' piece, I really love his balloon piece. I actually looked at his work, like just staring at his work, and then long time, and then it's really intriguing to me, that puffy looking and balloons, and during that time I was staring at the piece. I think about how I can make my work like this. It's really make me intriguing, and how I can make my audience just like him, like my other audience is really enjoying the piece. So yeah, sure, I really love his work.
Thank you. We also have a question. Danielle is wondering, she'd like you to discuss the sucking in technique for your bubbles. And I think we're actually going to see some of that maybe, but if you want to talk a little bit about it before or during the film where you're breathing in and breathing out while you create your piece, but maybe give us a little bit of an introduction about what that's about.
Sure. So when I had this idea, I was thinking about, I always grow grass, but what if I suck in the bubble? And then I made a test piece. I had a little bubble, clear bubble, and then heat really, really hot, just the part that I wanna suck in the glass with a hot torch. And then, so I heat the part, and then put the additional hot, really hot, fresh glass on it, and then suck in the bubble, suck in the glass. And then I really liked it. So I then I came up with, oh, what if I do that again and again, and then I will be able to see the bubbles contained inside of the glass. And I tried that, and then I really loved it. So since then I was more thinking about the shape, that how I can show the bubbles the best way to show, and to see the bubbles pushing each other inside of the container. And that's how I started this.
Because we'll see one bottle where the bubbles are in the interior, and then your other pieces, the bubbles are in the exterior.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's always come from my wonder, like what if is always gives me an idea.
Well, that's our mantra these days. So I think we're going to see a video where you're actually doing this, the breathing in.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So this piece, it's my bubble piece with a crisscross pattern. I make an air hole because I wanna still be able to blow glass. So I transfer the piece to the other pipe so that I can work on the other side. And then I close it down and then cut the excess part. Then I'm done with smooth out the other side and then make a bunch of bubbles out of it. So it takes about 4 hours to finish this sculpture. And these pieces are more bigger scale. When the piece gets bigger, it's really hard to going back to the bench and then heat in the hole. That action is really hard because it's really heavy. So I I don't go back to the bench, but I worked on the yoke all the time. So yoke is the one that supports a pipe that you can see. It's a giant piece, and it really helps if I work on the yoke and I don't have to go back and the force between the hole and the bench. And more blowing. And this was at the Corning Museum of Glass last November. It took a long time. It took 8 hours. We took a turn to take a break and lunch. But I was so happy that I was able to make this piece with my team.
And how large is that, Aya? Oh, 50 pounds.
Yeah, it's like, how big is it?
Well,
20 or 20 inches wide, maybe, something like that. So here I'm inhaling the glass. So I heat the part I want to make bubble and put additional fresh glass. It's really hot. And then suck in the glass.
so there's already a hole there?
There's no hole, but as I suck in the bubble, there's a hole, like I create the hole at the same time. It's not a solid because I suck in, so it's like a bubble. It's a bubble created inside. I love watching these videos. Yeah, this is how I make my work, by exhaling and inhaling.
Would anyone like to ask Aya some further questions about that process? I don't know of anyone else that's doing that at the moment. No?
First, I was making just in clear, but once I used the cane to make a pattern, and then that really helps. That really helps me looking at the bubbles, like how the bubbles is shaped inside of the container or outside expanded. Even though the bubbles are expanded, all the bubbles are pushing each other too. And I like having patterns. So I use it was not a crisscross pattern for inhaling piece, because crisscross pattern was, I thought it was too much to see. So I just used the stripe cane pattern. So I see how the glass moves and then how the bubble is shaped with the stripe pattern.
So in your work, I mean, you obviously have some very traditional glass blowing techniques, and you're working with people from all around the world. Does any of your traditional training from your traditional painting or anything like that come back and influence what you're doing now? Do you?
Yes, it's really, my work is all about understanding the materiality of glass and how I can fuse myself into the piece with my idea. And earlier I said I like taking workshops and classes because I always get the new ideas. And I think learning the techniques is actually about learning about understanding the materiality of glass. So I could make, I could come up with some ideas and then try out the test piece, but also because I learned the traditional techniques that really teach me about the glass. And yeah, every time I learn new techniques and I come up with more ideas and I have more options.
Thank you. We have a couple questions. Linda asked, when you suck in the bubble, is the air extremely hot? Of course, we're all concerned for you when we see you and hear about you doing that.
You said hot?
Hot, yeah.
Hot. Yes, it's not hot that I get the burn, but if you see, I have a tube. It's called extension tube that I can blow or suck in the glass by myself, not using assistance. So when I make this bubble series, I always have extension tube, extension cord, and then so it's not like, it's not hot at all when I inhale.
Okay. And Joni asked, she would like to hear more about those color pieces that kind of look like puzzle pieces. So
With a ball.
I think so, or the squares maybe. Yeah.
Yes, at that time. So my idea was from the one of the picture that I show you. It's a cup with ball, and then the color bubble was expanded inside of the cup, and then that was the start because I wanted to see something exciting moment. I wanted to capture the exciting moment of glass. So I made a cup piece first, but when when I think about functional piece, I thought, oh, it doesn't have to be functional. I wanna just show that moment of glass that I like. So I started making it more like a sculptural style, and I decided to make square metal blow mold that I can blow the bubbles inside. So I made a bowl first and then keep it inside of the pickup oven it's like 1,000 degree, so that I can pick that up later with the other bubble. So I make this different color of a bubble and then put the ball to that bubble, and then immediately blow into the square metal mold. So I can push push against the ball, push the bubble against the ball, but also that bubble is pushed against the metal mold. So it's really like ball is really gathered inside of the other bubble, and I really love that moment, and I wanted to show variety of that moment. So I made a square so that I can stack them.
So you are kind of creating a puzzle by putting.
Yeah, it's like a puzzle.
That's great. We're looking at some beautiful pieces behind you. I don't know if you have a moment to just pan. Is this your studio or?
This is actually one of the space at home. Now I don't have a studio access right now. I usually use the studio at the Cal State San Bernardino. So it's on campus, and now unfortunately it's closed. So I haven't been able to create any of my work this year. But yeah, I wanted to share my work, that some of my work are still with me. So I wanted to set up my piece
Well,
in
thank
the
you.
room. You're welcome.
And Christine is really worried about your kitty back there.
Oh, yes. She doesn't really touch the glass. She's fine. And
I know about that.
yeah.
Okay. So I think we have some images of the work that we're seeing right behind you, so we can look at the pieces piece by piece.
Sure.
There you are. Okay.
She's right behind me. My favorite piece, plump. I can just stare at this piece long time.
And how are they affixed to the back mounting? How are they mounted?
A French cleat. So it's really, you can hang on the wall with French cleat mount on the wall.
Beautiful.
And I used the rubber thread in these gaps. I put that black rubber thread. And this one is it's a really thin piece. I used copper wire. I also really like looking at the inside of grown form. So I made this copper wire cage and then blown bubble inside. And then I engraved around the copper wire so that you can see inside of grown form.
And these are different angles of each piece, correct?
Yes, correct. Yeah, they are different pieces, 4 pieces. They are all different shape.
Beautiful.
Thank you. And this one has different patterns, different canes, different type of canes. So I use the black, stiff black color and stiff white color, and I was more trying to think about the different patterns. And then more focusing on how I can make the dense colors, dense lines to see the lines more clearly. This one is sand blasted. So it's foggy looking. This one also. This one is the one in the video, process video, same piece. I sand blasted after for finished. And this one is the one I made at during my Tacoma residency. This one, all the bubbles are sucked in.
Very interesting.
Thank you. It's just really, I really love the moment that the bubbles are created inside of the bottle. It's such a satisfying moment. This one is a piece that I made at the DMG during my time residency.
And I believe that is at the gallery, as is this one.
Yes, yes, yeah. This piece is in the gallery too. This one is also I in the PowerPoint in the slide.
Well, that's a beautiful body of work. And, you know, it goes to show that if you keep asking what if, you know, you'll keep creating amazing pieces. So where do you think you'll go next with your work? Do you have a concept of after, when you get to work again in the studio, do you have something you'd like to do?
Yes, when I go back to the studio, I really want to develop my work by inhale, using an inhale technique, because I want to make it more sculptural piece. So I did some experiment at the Corning Museum of Glass last November. I made this stripe pattern in the middle of the big bubble, and then sucked in the bubbles. But I made the bubbles only on the pattern, on the stripe pattern, but not the clear part. So after I made that, sucked in all the bubbles, and then cut and remove all the clear part, so that I can keep only the bubbles, and then with the patterns. So sorry, it's a little confusing to picture, but I want to develop that work when I go back to the studio, and with a little bigger scale, because this piece is it could be small, but I think the size is really important when I make sculpture, because the moment that I love is the part I want to show to the audience, and I really want to point out that part. So I would like to make it a bigger scale next time.
How many assistants do you think you'll need?
I will need at least one for turning the pipe for me, and then open the door to another assistant, and then giving me fresh glass. So 1, 2, 3, at least 3 or 4 assistants.
We're just
But
planning ahead for you, Aya.
I'm sorry, Mary.
We're just planning ahead for you.
Oh, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for sharing so much about you and your work. That was really lovely. I know that Duncan wants to thank you as well. Duncan, you're muted. So we're hoping to have Aya come back in the spring if everything quiets down. We'd love to have her. We loved her to be there in the hot shop in the gallery.
You are so delightful, Aya. We would love to have you back. So if you can't go to that studio, maybe come see us again, and we have more people to help you this time.
That's wonderful. I love going back there. Yeah, I would love to.
You were delightful. You did such a great job today. I want to thank everybody for being here. And come see us at the gallery. We're open very limited amount. You can call us and we'd love to meet with you. So thank you very much today. And hope to see you soon. We'll see you next week.
Next week, we have Sid Hutter, who's a master of contemporary design in glass. Very interesting technique, very different from Aya, but really fascinating work. So thank you, everybody, and thank you, Aya. Thanks very much.
So much for having me.
Bye.
Okay.